Okay, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Unrested video. I cover a lot of stuff all around Japan, a lot of Japan influences, cultures, traditions, questions about living in Japan and life in Japan. If you like any of that, please think about subscribing. At the very least, your view is wonderful, no matter if you like it or don't like it. Please feel free to hit that thumbs up or thumbs down button. Let's begin with today's topic about the worst YouTubers in all of Japan. And these are actually Japanese YouTubers. Yes, there has been a lot of gaijin who've come to YouTube and absolutely made some of the worst decisions and all kinds of stuff. So I'm more than aware of that. You know, we've got the Logan Pauls, we've got the Johnny Somalis. Let's dive into actual Japanese YouTubers who they kind of caught on to the whole Japanese YouTube thing probably about 5 years later than the rest of the international community. Japan is always kind of behind the times when it comes to putting their face out there on social media because they are very private people. It's not that they can't handle the technology or don't want to, it's just that they like to be a little bit more private with their life. Nonetheless, let me take these off as I hear them click into the mic. Let's go ahead and talk about these YouTubers. The worst YouTubers, starting with, actually the first one I tried to look up, I can't find anymore. His channel has been deleted and he is currently in jail. Yes, that's how bad some of these get. There is some jail time involved. It was a YouTuber who would order Uber Eats, or would order Amazon products, and when the delivery man would come to the door, he would quote unquote prank them by taking a chainsaw and running up to the door with it and pretending he was in the middle of some kind of Yakuza dismemberment scene or something like that. Absolutely scaring the total crap out of these poor guys who are just merely trying to do their job and work a shift. This went on for multiple videos until finally people started to call him out on Twitter, on YouTube, on every social media possible. Even the news started to run stories on how horrible this guy was, to the point that the police finally got involved and put him in jail. And I think he got a suspended 4-year sentence, if I remember correctly. I do not remember the name of this YouTuber because everything about him has pretty much been deleted. He's actually been banned from using all social media. That is one kind of thing that the government doesn't force once somebody's kind of abused all this stuff, which of course I think that's great. So the next one, this is like one of the sadder ones. I really hate this one. It is a guy named Jukiya who would go around pretty much harassing girls. And what he would call his channel is street interviews, in which he supposedly went around just interviewing girls about what their work or job or life in general was about, or maybe what their dating life was about. But instead he would turn it into these like weird, disgusting questions that were like extremely lewd. Asking them about their body parts is the nicest way I can put it on this channel without getting demonetized. And apparently this was okay with Japan YouTube, who didn't crack down quite as hard on him, and he was able to monetize his videos. He was called out multiple times and still does kind of the same gross street stuff to this day, where he'll ask girls to perform lewd acts or if they've done lewd acts. And then he has another guy who hangs out with him who I don't even know who his side man is, but this guy will do things to inappropriately practice chikan, which is groping of these women. It's disgusting. I don't know why he still has a channel. Maybe at this point he doesn't, but I remember seeing this guy's popularity rise in Japan and him getting interviewed by other YouTubers who are like, how do you get away with this? How are you still monetized? And he said he would just like keep editing the videos and re-uploading them again and again and again until they would pass through the system, which is, it's sick. It's sick. I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it. The next one too, I don't know, maybe this guy's even worse. I guess as I go down these, they do tend to get worse and worse. It was a guy named Hararuko. Okay, and Hararuko was a quote-unquote outdoorsy YouTuber. Like his channel was based around doing stuff outdoors. And for the most part, it was mostly innocent stuff of like just trying crazy things like swinging a katana outside against like different objects like a rock or a tree and seeing if it could actually handle hitting those different things and then break, which I feel like a lot of YouTubers kind of start out sort of innocent with some of the stuff that they create, and then they notice like they do one extreme thing and then they go harder and harder and harder until they become like a warped sense of how they started. And that's kind of what happened with this guy. He would go through the forest and like search for forest animals and stuff like that, and sometimes bring like food or something to kind of attract them. But where he really pushed it way too far was he went out to an area that was known for being highly populated by bears. And they're so well known to travel around this area that there's multiple warning signs that are like, beware bear territory. And he went out there to quote unquote simply just film a video of him and his friend talking about their times and exploration of the forest in their outdoorsy videos. And during that time, a bear comes up behind him because they're sitting there eating a pizza, and a bear comes up behind them and, oh my gosh, a bear, oh my god, what? And they scatter, they run to their car, and the bear sits there and eats their pizza while they film from inside the car, to be safe. And it's later found out this was not, anything that just happened out of nowhere. He had actually done research to find this area, and it was well known that this area was populated by bears. It was well known that there was multiple signs that said, don't go in this area, there's bears everywhere. It was also known that you're not supposed to carry around food in this area. I'm sure any of you who've been camping before know about not leaving food outside if there's bears in the area, and this guy's literally tempting them. And in fact, it was later found out that he would go to this area and leave human food out for bears to be attracted to, so they would start to get a taste for human food. Well, what happens then is once a bear starts to do that and people walk the paths around that area, they start to linger even closer and closer to these paths, searching out human food inside of people's backpacks, and people can possibly and very realistically get attacked and killed, which has happened many times before, especially in Hokkaido in Japan. You can go read the history of that and you'll be very shocked by some of the stories out there. One of the few places in Japan that a lot of people tend to own a shotgun out in the countryside because of bear attacks. So he does this. He sets the whole thing up. He gets the bear hooked on human food. He then supposedly happens to notice a bear show up to eat his pizza. Wow, and I caught it on camera. What absolute subscriber gold, right? Well, of course, the bear starts coming closer and closer to people on the trail. It starts to be more and more attracted to human food. The town that put up the signs and warned people about this bear asked Hararuko to take the video down. He refuses. They ask him again and again. They say, like, look, this is like now promoting people going out to this area with human food to try and get this bear to show up. Can you please take this video down to stop people from, being implemented, impressed, and condoning this kind of action with bears in the area. It's going to lead to someone getting killed. Finally, the bear does almost attack someone on a trail. It gets way too close, and the city council has to put the bear down. They have to hunt this bear down that's from the video, and hunt it down and kill it. This bear loses its life because of what this guy did. And so finally, people, absolutely lambast this guy online. They tear him up. They're, running his name through Twitter. He's on the news about how he's gotten a bear killed simply for doing his quote-unquote prank video, guys. It's so funny, a prank, right? And he finally then takes the video down and supposedly makes an apology video. But there's a couple things he does in this quote-unquote apology video. Let's go through them. Number one, he said he had no idea that there was bear warnings out in this area, and like literally there's like signs every couple of feet. Number two, he said the city didn't actually ask him to take the video down. He had no idea, and if they did, maybe they contacted the wrong email and never actually asked him to do that or got in contact with him. And then finally, to make sure this is a great apology, he threatens to sue anybody who talks badly about him online for defamation of character, which you can actually get away with in Japan. It's kind of crazy. Their defamation laws are far more strict. And in fact, one YouTuber who does expose him for this, he's currently in a court battle. I don't know if it's ended or anything yet. I'll have to follow up on this later, is being sued by this guy for exposing him. And yet his channel continues to exist because YouTube Japan has different rules from YouTube US. This guy would be gone in a second in YouTube US, but he's still up, still making videos, and is a total creep and loser. Moving on from there, let's take a look at one of, I don't know, this one's kind of an epic one. I questioned whether or not to cover this. I felt like, God, I could make a video completely on this guy alone. His name is Tachibana Takachi, and he's one of the first, not the absolute first, but one of the first YouTubers to try and run for a political position in Japan's Diet. It's a weird story. Let's start at the beginning. So this guy used to work for NHK, and he was, if you don't know NHK, it's like the BBC or PBS. It's a public broadcasting system, and it works very different though. So like in the UK, you're charged a TV tax, and that goes to the BBC to help fund them, and you're just charged that when you buy the TV. It's a one-time thing. In America, PBS runs donation, pretty much call-ins to let people donate, and people usually do. PBS has pretty good stuff. But NHK has kind of a stupid way to go about it. It's absolutely absurd. They literally send people door to door telling you need to pay money to the NHK for owning a TV. And we don't even have like cable connected up to our TV in Japan. Mostly we use our TV like a monitor and have it connected to like, Roku or a Fire Stick or something like that. So I'll tell them, I'll be like, we don't connect any cable. It's just like a monitor. And they're like, yeah, but that still counts. I'm like, nah, it doesn't. I've had them come and ask for money, and they'll be like, yeah, but you can watch NHK on your phone. And I'm like, but I don't. Like, why? Why would I do that? And then they'll be like, yeah, but you can watch NHK on your computer. And I'm like, you can come check my search history. I've never looked up NHK stuff. It's just not really a great source of news. Sorry. It's just, the NHK once in a while has a decent documentary, but for the most part, it's just slop, just absolute slop news. It's not great stuff. Even NHK International, you can watch it, and they pretty much just run the same story over and over and over and over again. They're probably still running stories right now about Japan has released the Fukushima water from the power plant back into the ocean, and the Chinese are mad about this. Like, they must have just done that story every single day for like the last full 2024 2023 year. It was absurd. They're not really great. On top of it, they have a really strange way to go about funding their whole platform. And the weird thing is too, is like if you give them money for the first time, like if you actually do give them money, they'll continue to harass you to pay them money. And it's anywhere from like $30 to $50 depending on what area you're in and stuff like that. I don't know you. Your organization doesn't do anything for my family. I'm not going to take 3,000, 5,000 yen out of my pocket. That's like about 30 to 50 bucks. Or I guess with the exchange rate, how it is, like $25 to $45. I'm not paying some random, and sometimes they'll get aggressive too. I've had people show up, just one guy, and I'll be like, nah, I don't watch it. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they kept sending more and more people to my door. Until it was like two really big, giant Japanese guys. And they're like, hey, we heard you're not paying. And I'm like, yep. And they're like, but you have a TV. And I'm like, no. And they're like, yeah, but like, I can see that monitor back there. That's a TV. And I'm like, no, monitor's not a TV, guys. Come on. Really? They've tried to send people to me who like speak English and stuff like that and like argue with me about it. I'm just like, dude, I'm just not paying. You can talk to me all you want, but all I've got is a debit card. And I'm not paying. That also kind of messes them up too. They want cash, just straight cash. And also, there's been scams in the past where like Yakuza have shown up and pretended to work for the NHK. So that's kind of like ruined the whole reputation of how they collect money too. Anyway, I've gone way too far off on a tangent. This guy used to do that job. This guy, Tachibana Takachi, that was his job. He used to do this. He used to collect the money until he was fired from the NHK. Apparently something went wrong with the money he was collecting. It was something shady. Like, I guess he was keeping a chunk of it, which that's going to get you fired real quick in Japan. And so he was pissed off at the NHK. So instead of being someone who worked for them, he decided, I'm going to work against them. And he did this whole campaign about like everything you can do to turn away NHK people. He even made this sticker you can put on your door that says like, I refuse to pay the NHK. And it had his face on it like, yeah, don't pay. Which I guess cool. I understand also why people are pissed off about it. I agree with the Japanese who refused to pay NHK. And he ran a whole political system called Destroy NHK. That was what his party was called, Destroy NHK. And it kind of worked out at first, but where he really kind of screwed up is to get more political clout. He said, I'm not only going to run for this party and make myself part of the diet, I'm going to bring out the NHK CEO, the top head guy at NHK, and I'm going to grill him live on camera. And this is something he could actually do because by Japanese laws, if you're running for a political position, they have to give you some time on the political shows that run for campaigns going on. And he was able to get that time, and how he was going to set this interview up was kind of the dumbest thing he ever concocted. He took old customer names that he had from working that job in the past, blurred them out on the screen during his campaign run on TV, and said, I'm going to reveal all these customers' names, phone numbers, information, addresses, and everything unless the CEO, the top head honcho of NHK, comes out and it has an interview with me about why he's continuing to force people to pay for the NHK. And while I think getting an interview with that guy might have been really good and may actually have been some great political clout, exposing innocent customers and their public, making all their information public and doxing them, not cool. Like, nobody thought that was cool. And who really thought it wasn't cool was the Japanese police. He got arrested in a 4-year suspended sentence and now has a criminal record for threatening to expose private information of public citizens. You can't do that. Like, that's just, I don't know why he thought that was okay. It just doesn't really make any sense. This is the kind of idiocy we're running with here. From there, it just gets worse. It just gets so much worse. He decides that he is no longer going to run on the Destroy NHK system and goes full extremist and says that in order for Japan to properly compete with other countries who have a higher population and having more babies than Japan, which has always been a problem with Japan, their population dropping, they should genocide, no joke, those other countries and the dumb people who have babies there. And I don't know how it led to this. Like, there's kind of no great segue. So Japan's political party new name was Destroy NHK still, like that was still kind of part of it, but also Destroy Jewish People. And so he added anti-Semitism onto it, which is crazy. I don't get it. And he actually got into a bunch of beef and stuff with other political running YouTubers at the same time. And it went sideways from there. Eventually, he was just like kicked out. He was arrested. He has a huge criminal record. His political party was over. Everything went to shit. Everybody hated him, But I think he still has a channel, but like nobody watches it anymore. I could actually do a whole separate video on some of the people he connected with. Like, there's a guy named Gassi, who turned out to be this guy who exposes movie stars because he ran like a high-class bar and interviewed them there and would get all these dirty secrets about them, and then eventually was almost arrested for defamation and escaped to Dubai. It's a crazy side story that I can't get into right now. I'm going to try and end it right here and stay around 20 minutes for my video. But guys, what do you think? This kind of stuff isn't as popular now. This is kind of like when Japan first got into it. And how, like, just like in America, we had the fake prank, bro, it's just a prank type stuff. This is kind of what happened in Japan. They did this for a little bit themselves too. I think they're kind of over this phase and more use it for better stuff now. But it did get crazy for a while. Anyway, guys, if you like what you saw here, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit the like button. And if you want to see some scary stuff too about Japan, please check out my second channel, Osoroshi Nights. I'll pin a comment down below so you know how to spell that and go there. not the most advertiser-friendly name, Osoroshi Nights, a little hard to spell for some people. So I'll be down there promoting it, and just thank you for everything you do for my channel as far as views, comments, subscriptions, and join the live stream. We'll have one tonight, probably around Eastern Standard Time, 6:30, 7 o'clock p.m. I'll see you there. Until next time, have a great rest of your day.